Venture's such a wide swath now. If you're a general catalyst, are those venture capitalists? Yes, apparently. But so am I. But we're not at all like general catalysts. We only do seed, which means we only come in very early, which means we only have a limited amount of information to make a decision. And at the end of the day, the decision really is going to be driven by that founder. It just is what our business is. There's not much more to go on. So we're a little bit over-reliant on that interaction with the founder.
I think we originally are from Macedonia about
All right, well, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Yeah. The big mentor that, you talked to me about in the past was when you first
left here.
Was Bill, right?
Yeah.
And that's when you were in banking and
Yeah.
fresh at it. Can you tell me a little bit about how you connected with him? And
Yeah, I mean, I'm from Colorado, and he was a big guy in Colorado. So I went to college. I worked in San Francisco for 4 years in banking and private equity. Then I went to grad school at a school called Thunderbird, which is International Finance School. Was one of the top schools in the world for international finance. It still is, but it was acquired by Arizona State University. So it's like,
oh, interesting.
and that was an old Air Force base, and they have campuses all over the world. And they had 4 campuses all over the world, and you had to learn another language, and you had to live somewhere else in one of the campuses. So I went to school in Paris as one of my years at Thunderbird.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really fun because 70% of the school is international. So I met all these people and got exposed to different people. And Americans are pretty myopic, as we all know. So
Right.
I had a really early exposure to a lot of people from different countries and backgrounds and business interests. And so that was a really good eye-opener for me, having grown up in a small town in Colorado. When I was getting ready to graduate, I was planning to go to work for Credit Suisse in New York City. I was going down the investment banking route, and a woman who was a friend of my dad's, incidentally, and you never know how these things always happen. When you look back how it happened, you're pretty surprised. Like,
Right.
Who knows why they ran into each other? It's like you talk about Melanie, like,
Right.
and she said, "Oh, what's Mark up to?" And maybe I've met her once in my life. He goes, "Well, he's getting ready. He's finishing up grad school." And I was 27, getting ready to go to, and he's going to work in New York. Getting ready to go to work in New York. And she goes, "Did he ever meet? He should meet Bill Daniels." And Bill had started a bank in Colorado. He started a lot of things, and one of the things he started, which is still there, is the Women's Bank. And he also started a children's bank. You had to be 12 or under to be a bank customer. And he taught kids and made kids bring all their change in, and they started opening bank accounts, and then they had a checking account. Very smart to right.
Yeah.
And then he started a women's bank, which wasn't just for women, but it was a unique.
Yeah.
She worked for the Women's Bank. Anyway, so she somehow finagled an interview for me. And at this time, this guy is a billionaire in Colorado. He's like, an analogy I use is if you grew up in Nebraska and somebody said to you when you were, growing up, like, "Do you want to meet Warren Buffett?" You're like, "How the hell do you get to meet Warren Buffett?"
Right.
And so the answer is yes, but how do you do that? Well, this was the same way Bill was in Colorado.
Okay.
A famous, well-known, wealthy, ran for governor, owned, the sports teams, all those
Everybody
things.
knows this guy.
Yeah. And so I got an interview with him, and I went to see him at his office in Cherry Creek in Denver. And he was a naval hero, and flew 256 missions, and was just one of those guys that they don't make anymore. He didn't finish high school, lied to get into the Navy, Golden Gloves champion twice, entrepreneur, lost all his money, made all his money, owned sports teams, that kind of thing. 4 wives, alcoholic, but died sober. No kids.
He lived a life.
No kids, yes. And you go into his office, and he was not a big guy, but very scary, meaning carried quite a presence, right?
Okay.
Quite a presence, and a success presence behind him. And he also had like a puncher's face, like me. Yeah. And
I get that.
he said, and he often wore custom suits, of course, which is kind of, no one wears suits anymore, but he wore these custom suits at Denver. And he had a handkerchief here, and for 15 years after that, I wore a handkerchief in my jacket. It was very rare, but it worked really well in Europe because I was living in Europe for him.
Okay.
And he smoked cigarettes with a filter, like a long filter. So it's almost like didn't fit the persona.
Right.
But you walk into his office, and we own 10% of the Lakers, which, as you see today, is worth $1 billion. We sold it for $100 million in 2000. You walk in, and there's big photographs of him and every president. There's the Lakers trophy. There's pictures of him with Magic Johnson and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. There's thank yous from different world leaders. This guy, right? And you sit in his office, and it's very high tech because we were cable and telecom business. And he starts talking to me, and we talked for, I don't know, you don't have these memories anymore, and you didn't have a mobile phone to record it afterwards. It's just like, and he talked to me for about 45 minutes, and we got along, obviously, in some way. He asked me a lot of questions, which were interesting. He was really challenging me to see how hard I was going to work. He didn't want me to, for example, have a relationship. Not because he was against relationships. He didn't want me to be tied down.
Right.
Like, you're coming to work for me. You are working. That's it. That's your life for a while. And I didn't figure that out till later. Like some of the questions he was asking. But as I was leaving the office, and there was no other process. There was no process. And as I was leaving the office, he had this gruff voice, and he's like, "Mullen." So, if you call me Mullen in general, you're assuming we're friends. Like, we're assuming we have a relationship. Like, that's kind of a closer, right? If after today I called you Martin, so something like that. And he goes, "Mullen," and I have to turn around and look at him, and I'm about to end. His office is 50 feet long, and he says, "I spent my whole life putting my name on the building," and this was a skyscraper in Denver that had his name on the building. He goes, "Don't you fuck it up."
Oh wow. And
that was it. He was actually the chairman at this point. He was 72. Oh, wow. And CEO was named Brian Devey, which I'll explain a little bit of him later. But yeah, then within a week later, I was on my way to Guam to work on a deal. He had a former colleague from the Naval Academy, from the Navy, who stopped after World War II there and built a cable and newspaper, radio, and television station business. And he hired us to sell it.
Okay.
And I had to look at where Guam was. And next thing I was there, and that was the beginning of just getting an opportunity to travel over the world and try to, find potential deals. That went on for 18 years. Bill passed away 8 years later. Brian Devey, who was the CEO, which I always tease him, he didn't talk to me for a year. The first year I joined, he didn't talk to me. It was kind of like his way to, like, Bill hired you, like, I didn't even talk to you. How'd you get in here? Now Brian and I are very good friends. He's invested in every Bonfire and Double M company.
Okay.
And prior to that, my dad was a big, and it's always been my mentor. So I'm an only child, and my parents had me when they were 20, and they weren't trying. When you're a sophomore in college and you have a baby, that wasn't on your agenda.
My wife had one when she was a freshman.
Wow.
Yeah, my stepson Nicholas.
And so, they were very young raising me. And so I think about when I graduated high school, I was 17, and my dad took me they actually didn't take me, they put me on a plane to go to college in Ann Arbor.
Oh, wow.
It's different than today. I say that because my son just graduated from high school. We're already making plans how to take him to college. We got to hold his hand all the way down to college. But
I just picked one up from Davis.
But dang, when my dad was 37 years old and I'm going to college, he didn't know any better anyway. I was the second person in the family to go to college after him.
Okay.
So it wasn't a thing. So that was the lucky random conversation I had to get a chance to meet Bill, and
Yeah.
you know, that ended up being a really unique experience.
What was that like? Like, what was going through your brain when you're like meeting a guy like that?
I don't remember. Right? Like
At that level,
it's
you
not
know?
even it all happened so fast, and it wasn't like they were hiring for anybody, so I actually didn't know what I was talking to him about. Really,
He just liked you.
yeah, we just kind of hit it off.
Yeah.
And
Is that similar to, you think, what it's like when people come into your office the first time they're meeting you? I mean, it is, you know, maybe you're not Bill, but like it is high pressure of like,
yeah.
you know, for them sitting on the other side.
I mean, the thing is, like, I don't want to say I'm reliant on my people skills in gauging and understanding a person I'm sitting across from, because while that has worked many times, it also failed. So if you start to go down this path, like, well, I can tell when a founder is going to be great.
Yeah.
You're maybe on an odds basis, maybe 6 out of 10 times, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to be careful of making that. You can go, keep going. Making that judgment, and also, as we all know, there's a fine line between like really smart, unique, what we call baller founders,
Mm-hmm.
and right on that same line is manipulative, scary psychopath.
Right.
Right. That's
hard to tell them apart.
right. So you have to be real careful down there, because you can be convinced and talked into something
Mm-hmm.
by somebody who's very good at convincing and talking people into something.
Right.
But the way that we have this you know, ventures changing a lot, has changed a lot, has changed for the good and the better. But the reality of this, we come in at seed. So, you know, ventures such a wide swath now.
Yes.
If you can, you know, General Catalyst, are those venture capitalists? Yes, apparently. But so am I. But we're not at all like General Catalyst. I mean,
Right.
we only do seed, which means we only come in very early, which means we only have to bet. We only have a limited amount of information to make a decision.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, the decision really is going to be driven by that founder. It just is what our business is.
Right.
And so
There's not much more to go on.
There's not much more to go on. So we're a little bit over-reliant on that interaction with the founder. And where we, as a firm, particularly me and Jim, who started the firm and have been in this business the longest, you know, we've been through so many examples of investing in founders who've been successful, investing in founders who haven't been successful,
Mm-hmm.
investing in and then seeing different stages throughout a company's life. We're not good at meeting someone who somebody in this current environment, somebody says, hey, we're raising a seed round, we're expecting term sheets next week. You're like, well, I haven't fucking met you.
Right.
You know, and I know you want to have a Zoom for 40 minutes.
Right.
And that ain't, to me, meeting you.
Right.
But that's the game we're in.
Mm-hmm.
So we're trying to adapt. We do still mostly get the deals we really want to win. The ones we get after, we do get that chance to spend time. This is not to say that every founder is like that either. A lot of founders, the smart ones, frankly, are also wary of their venture capitalist.
Yeah.
They're wary of the money they're going to take, and they should be doing their own due diligence. And
Mm-hmm.
their due diligence should take longer than a week as well.
Right.
Calling me and saying, hey, do you want to look at us? It's almost like, well, you don't even know who I am. Maybe I'm a jerk.
Right.
So
It's good to get maybe date before you get married.
yeah. And so that brings us back to having this skill set of investing in people.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a lot of that from my 18 years at Daniels, where I dealt with people like Bill Daniels, who was a people guy.
Mm-hmm.
But I lived in London and Paris, and I did a lot of deals all over the world, all over Europe, and we were investing in entrepreneurs. They weren't like software startup guys. They were building cable television systems or wireless phone systems or data centers. One of my comfort levels is trusting my gut. I mean, it takes a long time to be able to trust your instincts.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you have great instincts at poker, or maybe you have great instincts at playing football when you're younger.
Right.
But maybe have good mathematical instincts. You just have to find which instincts you're good at, and then you have to trust them. That's the hardest part, because I think a venture capitalist, you don't know if you're any good for a long time.
Yeah, right.
Sometimes people have early wins, and you think you're really good.
The founders can almost get more reps than an investor.
Right.
Right? Like,
Right.
I mean, dialing in your craft. And I think it's really a craft. Like, I don't really buy into, like, it's art. I think, 20-30% of second-time founders have a higher percent chance of win. I mean, it's a craft. You learn things at work, and you start to use those. And I would think it would be the same in investing.
You make so many mistakes, and we've seen so many of the mistakes over and over, so we're supposed to be good at trying to help you avoid the mistakes we've seen your peers make over 20 years.
Right.
Whether it's a hiring mistake or not firing mistake, or options management, or building your sales force, or all those things actually take repetition.
Yep.
And there's
Especially
patterns.
If you bring someone like one of your partners, Brett, in a SaaS company, I think he's pretty much seen it all.
Exactly. and that has been fantastic. And now, SaaS is in trouble. Those who mean tech or software companies are in trouble. I've always said that SaaS is just one delivery method of software.
Right.
Now it's usage-based, seat-based, transaction-based. SaaS is still a way to do it. It's just a lot of different ways to deliver software. And obviously AI is in the middle of everything.
Right.
So, we are all questioning, I know Brett is as well, that is the old SaaS playbook that we built at Salesforce. He built at Salesforce, or was part of building.
Yep.
Is that relative today?
Yep.
In this environment of random companies with 20 employees doing 100 million of ARR, and of course that's not ARR, it's annualized run rate.
Right.
It's not annual recurring revenue, so we all have to change the way we look at metrics and all these other things.
I always wondered about, even thinking of ARR. I mean, it's, he got a year contract, 2-year contract. I mean, they're still, they're paying monthly and they can get out at any time. It's just we're feeling good about that.
Yeah.
There was a longer term of commitment. I think I've seen it switch back with some companies too, where now they're like, going back to more subscription based, just for the fact, I think you can invest in those companies a little bit more, or invest in your clients a little bit more, and you can dig in a little bit more. I think it's interesting. It's really in flux right now, these models. But I think I like what you said. It's just a delivery mechanism, right?
Yeah. And I think the customer is what matters, of course, and they are also bombarded with AI and what to do. And they think they have to use it. And in some cases, right, people are finding real clear use cases. How they pay for it, they don't know. The usage base is up in the air as well. You may be a customer of an AI solutions company, and you've agreed to some sort of contract. Yeah, we're going to pay you XYZ for usage, and then you find out your usage is massive, and you're getting charged a big number, and you want to go back to the company and say, wait, I gotta renegotiate this. I'd rather pay you $100,000 a month than get this bill every month that I don't know what's going to be happening. So then you're right back to the SaaS.
Yes.
Like you're back to
yes.
So I think there's going to be back and forth between the customers and the software providers as to what the best model is for the customer. And at the end of the day, the customer really has ultimately will have the decision. Drawing back to those years before I got into venture, that's kind of when I came to the table with.
Right.
I have a lot of capital markets experience. I have a very good feel for the markets. I can tell when and what a company is going to be valued at, marketed at, how to raise money, how to position you to raise money.
Having that banking background is a big differentiator, I think, for you.
It is, but VCs don't like bankers.
I mean, why is that?
I don't know. It's always been the case. And VCs don't like PE people. I mean, that's what I learned when I came in. I like to play the card of like, I'm actually not I'm an outsider VC.
But having that banking experience, I would think that you have a better understanding of like what this could actually be worth.
I did. Sometimes I do. and sometimes they did. I mean, the markets have changed so
Right.
much, good and bad again. Like, did I know when COVID happened and then the market, just was destroyed, and then 3 months later the market went crazy? Like, I don't think anybody really, of course some people did, but it's just, being able to draw on historical norms is pretty hard to do.
Mm-hmm.
And in this current environment, it's really hard to figure out. We
Right.
have massive inflation, we're way in debt, we have high interest rates, and the market's going crazy.
Yep. Yeah.
Not to mention general unrest and a couple wars in the middle
Right.
going on, just a couple.
Just a couple.
So it's hard to just say, I think this is where the market's going. Because if I knew that, I would just put all my money in that and be done.
Right.
That's always the. But I think that when we get into conversations with it, whether it's private equity buyers or the market or how to raise money, we have a lot of experience at that.
The first couple of funds, if I remember right, I mean, you invested primarily was an investor in those funds. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah. So the first double M funds,
Yep.
double M1 and double M2. I am the largest LP, the largest cash investor, and that was kind of the norm. Like when I came out and started Fund 1, I went to my former partners and my former clients and my friends and family, typical, and raised a fund. I said, by the way, I'm investing more than anybody else.
Right.
And so I'm gonna put money where my mouth is, and that gets harder over time. With Jim and I, we all still invest a lot of money in Bonfire.
Right.
But you can't do, like, I was 15 to 20% of the first couple funds.
And how's that, like, what kind of difference does that make when you're making those investments? Then you see some of these young investors join a firm.
Massive, and it's a couple ways. One is it does mean a lot from where I was coming from, which was the investment banking, private equity world. When you say, yeah, I'm putting my money in, that makes a big difference. Venture's a little less tied to that.
Mm-hmm. But
I would do a deal. I would make sure the founder knew that, if I was investing $500,000, 100 of it was mine.
It's significant.
And I would say, and so DF, what I used to write everybody, so DFIU, don't fuck it up. This is kind of my shtick, and it came out of, again, not from the VC world. So
Wasn't that what Bill pretty much said to you as well?
yes,
Right?
Exactly. And he put all of his money where his mouth was. So that was, in some ways, I guess, revisionist history, you'd have to ask somebody, like, did that matter to you? That it was Mark's money, that he was actually spending his own money as opposed to somebody else's. I think that it does make a big difference. Now, where it made a huge difference was, as companies were successful in the portfolio, I made a lot more money.
Right.
Than you do if you're just an investor. And I think that most people don't understand that. I just had a conversation with the fund yesterday. Personally, I'm an investor in 25 funds. I haven't invested in any new funds in over 3 years and won't anymore. Just because of timing, and I'm already diversified. And I have a couple investments in some funds you've heard of, like Union Square Ventures and others. I'll probably do whatever, invest until Fred doesn't want to invest anymore.
Yeah.
But I often get calls, and I'm happy to, like almost mentorship to, I'm starting a fund, what do you think? How do we, what ideas do you have? Do you want to invest? All those things. And I've done that a lot. And I think there's two different ways to get into venture capital. One is to get a job at a venture capital fund, and one is to start your own fund. And they're both really hard.
Yeah.
And the middle ground is the kind of the principal level where they join a bigger fund. And they maybe have a teeny piece of carry, or they don't have carry, but they're joining and they got a nice salary and stuff like that. And it's really, let's just use an example of somebody who's 34. They've been well educated, they've had a job before, but now they've got this job. And for the next 10 years, you're not going to make much money. Literally way less than you could if you just kept going at the career job you were in or something like that. And it's because you're reliant on that firm to be successful. And even when they are successful, you have so little carry, it's not going to matter.
Right.
And even if they are successful, it's going to take 7 to 15 years to figure that out.
get rich slowly strategy.
And so one way to alleviate that is to actually invest your own money, but you wouldn't do that in a huge fund. And the second part is when you start a new fund. As an example, the guy I was talking to yesterday wants to start a $12 million. His first fund is $12 million. I said, let's do the math. 12 million times 2%, and you've probably got 50,000 of expenses and organizational expenses, and you have an annual audit fee, and you have to do the LPs, and you have to do all this stuff. So let's just say it's 50, and you're going to have some other outsourced people. So you're really going to pay yourself about $125,000 to $150,000 a year, gross. Okay, pre-tax.
Right.
That's it.
It better not be
for several years.
LA.
For several years.
Right.
And don't expect like you invest. And what are you going to invest in? I'm going to invest in pre-seed. Of course you are, because you only have 12 million. You can't really play anywhere else. You're going to invest in pre-seed. Pre-seed takes 10 to 20 years. You might have an early winner that will like triple the money you put in, triple the $200,000 you put in. And so you made 600, but that's not carry. That's just you got to pay all that back. And when I really get into the economics of starting a fund, it's daunting.
Right.
Yeah.
There's so much more competition now too, right? I mean,
unbelievable. I mean, capital is not the differentiator anymore. You know, there was a period where capital, you were saying, well, look, we have capital for you for the round we're investing in.
Right.
We have follow-on capital. We're going to be with you for your whole life. And so that was kind of differentiating. You know, some really smart founders don't want that. They don't want that much control by one investor. So, but now with the large crossover funds, they're doing every stage they can. You know, we take 816Z as a $6+ billion fund, and they're doing whatever they want.
right.
Any technology, any stage, any country, and good for them. That's working. If you're trying to be a niche investor, it's getting harder to be a niche investor. Niche meaning a specific technology, a specific
Geography.
a specific stage.
Right. What gets, you know, what do you think's like not talked about a lot within venture?
Well, I think what's not talked a lot about is how little money is made by most people.
And most people think all these investors are rich,
because the venture industry itself is quite myopic. It's also quite over
Glamorized.
it commands they think they're much bigger than we think we're much bigger than we are. We think we're much more important than we are. You go to friends of mine who live in New York City, who, you know, my peers, I grew up with people like that. They have $50 billion hedge funds. They'd never heard of anybody in venture capital except maybe Mark Andreessen,
right,
or Fred Wilson, because they're in New York. They don't give a shit.
Right.
I mean, they're even like, Mull, what do you got? You know, what do you? Hey, we just raised a $250 million fund. What does that pay? How does that work? I'm like, oh yeah. And you probably don't have to tell anybody what it's worth for years. I'm like, no. And they're like, that's crazy. You know, so I think we just have a much overstated opinion of ourselves in general. And we've seen that a lot, more than ever, in this last election cycle with
Good.
He wants you to go.
All right. You're open up. Yeah, okay, we're gonna go.
Trump.
These guys are so friendly around here.
You know, with David Sachs and others being much more involved in the administration, has brought a higher level of detestation or appreciation for venture capital. But prior to that, I think it's still just a little, you know, thing in San Francisco, in the world, the way the world was.
Right.
Because of that, there is still, and always has been, a big focus on the winners. And when you read about Wiz or Scale that just announced with Meta, you know, those are incredible, massive wins. Yes, and that therefore gives both a target for all of us. We all want those crazy wins in that way, and that keeps us in the business. But it also over accentuates like how few wins there are. You don't know that. You think that's venture capital. What you're not seeing is the 999 other deals that didn't get that far.
Yeah.
And I think that's, part of the mystery and part of the hidden issues with venture.
What drives you nuts about venture?
What drives me nuts about venture is that there's an opaqueness, there's a lack of clarity on valuations, there's a lack of consistency in how things are valued, consistency how things are looked at in terms of valuation, or the whole network, the whole industry. We tend to mark our investments based on whoever invested last.
Right.
And then if someone hasn't invested for a long time, you don't, unless you're really honest or straightforward or specifically not messing with your numbers, you don't have to report that company is definitely not worth as much as you invested in it before for a very long time. Not until your LPs demand it or something happens where it's basically kept at value until it goes out of business.
Right.
And so I think a lot of people hide behind what we all know is called TVPI. And I learned, I never looked at it this way again because I came into it from a different angle. I came into it going, I didn't even know what TVPI was when I started my fund. I had to look it up.
Tell me what it is for people that are watching this.
I can't remember what the total value committed, total value of the fund over invested capital.
Okay.
So if you raise a $10 million fund and you're valuing all the companies, all your investments at 20 million, your TVPI is 20 over 10.
Okay.
That doesn't mean you've paid anybody back.
Right.
That's DPI, distributions per invested capital. DPI,
a little bit more
distributions per invested capital.
Right.
And so there's just so much bullshit out there. And I know this because I run a bunch of funds and we know how the numbers work, and we're very careful on the numbers.
Yeah.
But I'm also an investor in 25 funds. I see what people do and don't do. I know companies that I may even be an investor in that they're marking at a different value than I am.
Right.
And so there's just and then everybody hides behind it takes so long to find out.
Right.
It takes so long to find out if you're a good investor. It takes so long to find out if the company is actually what it's worth. And so you just kind of hide that. So there's that kind of drives me crazy because it's really, the winners. I remember a very prominent VC when I was getting ready to raise my second fund, and he was like, you could go out and raise a lot more money. You have an incredible track record background. Track record as a banker. I also had a good track record as an angel investor. That's how it started the fund. And he goes, what is your plan? And I said, well, I'm going to see how this goes and really lead with my track record, because if I have a good track record, I don't need to worry about how to raise money. It's like, oh, that's the wrong way to look at this. You got to go out and market yourself. So basically, this guy who I've known for a long time has a shitty track record and has done great at raising money because that's his objective.
Right.
Marketing.
Right.
And it's just never been my style. My style was like, I'm going to show returns, and that's what has happened with Jim and me.
Right.
Our track records have led us to these. We've not been good marketers. We don't go on Twitter. We don't talk about ourselves. And so we've led by track record.
Right.
Had I set out day one and said, I'm going to get after this, I want to raise as much money as I can, I probably could have if I had that plan. But we weren't focused on that.
My background was I actually studied entrepreneurship and finance in college.
Okay.
And leaving college, I started a business in college and sold it. And that's where I kind of was like trying to make my mind up if I wanted to be an investor or if I really wanted to do something more entrepreneurial. Looking back, kind of like you talked about before, it's kind of funny looking back. I didn't think I could ever figure out investing. I felt like maybe I would do my whole career, and then by the end of my career, or thought I knew what I was doing, but at the end of my career realized I never really knew what I was doing. And so I took the path of entrepreneurship, because that's what we used to call it. We used to be entrepreneurs, now we're founders. But I kind of started at the stage of once a company's invested. And how I kind of look at it is you have all this capital out there, people invest their capital in these companies. Where I start is once the money goes into the company, is helping the team allocate the funds in the right spots to make the most impact.
Yeah.
And most companies I go in, it's crazy.
Because most founders don't know. I mean, they could be technical geniuses. They could be great coders. They could have a great idea.
Right.
That doesn't mean they know how to build a company. I don't know how to start a company. I do know how to help you run it.
Right.
I don't know how to start.
Yeah. So it's interesting. Well, like again, first-time founders, there's a lot that they need to learn, and a lot of teams I work with, I'd say half and half are probably first-time founders, multi-time founders.
Yeah.
And we have 2 of them in your portfolio that I work with. Halston.
Yep.
He'll now. First-time founder. Brilliant.
I talk to Austin maybe every other day.
And then
by text or phone.
John of Credit Key.
Yep.
Multi-time founder.
Yep.
And it's interesting because in both cases they value getting their team aligned, getting their team focused, having a flexible way to navigate. And I think for those first-time founders, it's easy to get that 20-30% opportunity to be successful.
Yeah.
And the multi-time founders that I come in and help, they already understand that this is valuable and they need this. Or the first-time founders kind of have to struggle a little bit before they realize, wow, I really need to get my team focused and aligned, and I'm wasting capital because we're not focused on the right things, or I think they're focused on the right things, but I can't tell until it's too late.
And I think naturally, most first-time founders either think they have to do it all, or they try to do it all, or they're up to them to do it all.
Yeah, 100%.
And the second-time founders, and further on, realize how helpful it is to have somebody to help you do stuff.
Right.
There's a break at one point, like Walter Driver from the trade desk. From Scopely, who I got to invest in 2011. They had $400,000 in revenue. It was a video gaming platform company. But only maybe 2 or 3 years later, he went out and aggressively hired a COO from Disney Games. It was an overhire. It was the most expensive hire he had, and that guy helped him build the company by far. I think that at the end of the day, the founder, and I'm working with Halston on this right now, but trying to hire a VP operations. The founder sets the tone, sets the agenda, leads the vision, has to hire people, has to have product view.
Right.
But on executing all those things is not what he or she should be doing, right? Being the executor, to use Halston as an example, for the first year, I'd get a board deck. He made the board deck.
Mm-hmm.
He put all the numbers together.
Right.
So then I would beat him up over everything, and I'm like, "What is this?" It's like, "Well, that's what I got. I have the Excel spreadsheet for our pipeline." I'm like, "This is crap." And you shouldn't be doing that. You should have a system, and then we have a system. Then the person who runs sales should be giving me this information.
Right.
And we've got him to the point where he's totally into it. He's got the company in 100% in the right direction.
It's dialed in.
But you have, he's benefiting from having people help him.
Yeah, my view is every executive on your team should own a functional area of the business, and every one of them should be an executor. Your head of sales should be an executor. Your head of product should be executing. Your head of marketing should be executing. I think the role of the CEO is to align all those people, getting them working together and going in the right direction. But all of those other people should be executors.
Yes.
And then you get kind of to this stage where you need maybe an admin, or then it will eventually turn into a chief of staff, and then eventually you probably need some sort of ops person, maybe not a COO yet, and then eventually VP of ops and then COO. But I think, and all that spectrum of roles is just doing the things that the founder or CEO has been doing that shouldn't be doing, and also for them to figure out where they want to spend their time.
Take a left at the light.
Where they are good at, right?
At the end of the day, and we get to say this much more often, which is we can talk all these strategies and processes and pipeline management tools and hiring and all that stuff matters, but doesn't matter anywhere near as much as the founder matters. I don't care what you say. And
in what way?
The founder has to figure it out. The founder has to figure it out. If that person can't figure it out, we're not the ones going to be able to figure it out.
100%.
We can give you ideas, give a couple blocking and tackling things. I can be a shoulder to cry on. I can encourage you. I can make you mad. I can intimidate you. I can twist the knot in your the chip on your shoulder. Really good at that. We can do all those things, and I'm good at that because I've been around so much and I've seen so much, and I don't get emotional about things and try to be very helpful with that. But that's not going to make the company successful. It's got to be the drive and the focus and the potential of the founder.
Yeah.
And just because you start a company doesn't mean you're a good founder. Just means you started a company.
Right. Well, I do believe that it is craft and skill set.
Yes.
And a lot of people, the art of scaling, that's bogus. It's a craft. And if you ask any artisan, I have a good friend, Nick, who's one of the top tattoo artists. And I'm talked about art. He's like, it's not art. He's like, I've spent probably 10,000 hours drawing hands. You think it's all about the craft. And I think founders and CEOs can learn the craft. That's what I like to do with them. And also their teams are not always at the same level. I'll come in, maybe the head of product's really skilled, been there, done it before. Your marketing person hasn't. They're all at these different levels. And I think trying to lift them up, that's why I really believe in the right system at the right time.
Yeah.
You have to have flexibility. You can't over process too early, but you have to have some sort of process. The best teams, by far, from my opinion, are the most organized. It's not, it may feel like chaos, but those teams will find the clarity in that chaos, and that's what makes them win.
Well, I think you're totally right. But you still have to have that founder that's willing to drive those processes, or understands those processes, or willing to accept those processes, right?
100%.
And
yeah,
when we have little things like, if I'm getting contacted by a founder to raise money, and let's say she reaches out to me yesterday afternoon at 3:00, and she goes, let's put a Calendly on the invite if you want to have a meeting. And then I respond back and said, here's a couple times, let me know. And then it takes her 3 days to respond back. And then she responds back, goes, sorry, I was delayed, and let's do that call. And I'm like, well, I can't now because I already booked it.
Yeah.
It's a little things for me. Like, if you can't manage yourself in a timely manner,
right?
How are you going to manage yourself in a timely manner to run the company?
100%.
And I get everybody has their hair on fire, but it's just little basics that you got to have to do this. And I think a disorganized person either needs a real partner who's organized to help.
Right.
Because in fairness, if you're an incredible coding machine and you built this technology, you can't expect that person to be great at everything.
No.
But there needs to be pieces in the puzzle, and the founder has to be able to identify, I need those pieces.
Yep.
So no matter how many times we invest in these founders, and then we think we can guide them into building that company. Maybe guide is an okay word, but still, if the founder doesn't have it, the founder doesn't have it, right? Because you're like, well, the market's so great, the idea is so big, we'll figure it out.
You need a great founder.
God, why did I do that?
Yeah.
The other mistake people make, of course, is investing in a great founder in a small market. But a great founder in a small market, that you'll still get a win out of it. There's a mentality now. This is another thing I hate about VC, is everybody's like, you gotta return the fund with every investment you look at, and that's commercially not possible.
Correct.
And so what that causes you to do is, maybe, I know this founder is going to figure this out, and this is a really interesting market, and if we put in $5 million today, I bet we'll make $30 million. In maybe 5 or 6 years. And it leads you to not do the deal, people not to do the deal in current venture environment, because that's not enough. I got a $250 million fund, I can't invest in something that's gonna make me $30 million. That's so crazy. To be honest, when I started Double M 1 and 2, that's all the way I thought. That's how I thought, because I came from the banking world.
Right.
Like, how are we gonna make money? One of my best compliments that anybody's ever given me is Fred Wilson, when he said he was introducing me to a big investor, and he goes, blah, 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 he's a moneymaker. Called me a moneymaker. And if you and so a moneymaker is somebody who takes the dollar and turns it into 110. Right. That's okay, in many different ways.
Yes.
And then, of course, if you're lucky, you'll get maybe that fund returner,
Mm-hmm.
the outlier, the power law, because that's all true, the power law. But we've kind of manufactured it. And so you took a look at these, like, Andreessen Horowitz has a $6 billion fund. There's no way that every investment they make, they think is going to go and make them net $6 billion.
Right.
So why
No
is
way.
everybody else?
Right.
Why are we? And so you end up turning down founders who actually are very good, that just haven't picked a market you think is going to be big enough.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? That founder could go out and do exactly what I just said, sell the company for 3.2x in 4 years, and then start another company and learn a ton from that first company. And
Right.
you're locked out because you didn't back her in the first.
Yep. The thing that gets me going every single day, I just think they can all be more successful. And I think there's a lot of low-hanging fruit that a lot of the founders don't know how to do. And the pressure they're under, and they feel like they're under, is that they can't be transparent about some of the stuff that they don't know. And I think some of the best founders are, one, constant learners. They want to learn everything, and they're like open-minded and okay to say, like, I don't know that.
Yeah.
And the ones that hold it back or like fake it till they make it,
Yep.
they're not going to get help. I hit you with a whole bunch of questions.
Yep.
But I have one final question for you. It's going to be the most difficult question that you've ever been asked in your life. And so you ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. More of a scenario.
Mm-hmm.
You're stranded on a desert island the rest of your life. You have everything you need. You have food, you have water, you have, let's just say, healthcare. You have everything, but the one thing that you don't have is entertainment. There is no entertainment on this island at all.
Mm-hmm.
But luckily for you, Mark, an old 80s boombox drifts ashore with unlimited batteries. But you can only bring one album to listen to
One album.
the rest of your life. What are you going to listen to?
Wow.
I told you, this is the hardest question, isn't it?
Well, I'm close though.
Okay.
It's gonna be U2 Joshua Tree.
Oh, that's a great album. No one's ever said that. I'm surprised. No one's ever said that. That's a great album. Yeah, I could live with that.
Okay.
Not that I'm on the island with you, but if I had to.
I got it. I got it. Yep.
Awesome. Well, cool. Thanks for being on the show.
Great.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, that was fun.